All right, my name is Jordan Wilder,
My name is Adrielle Smith.
and we're going to be discussing the topic of should immigrant children be allowed or entitled to public education. Should they be entitled to education?
I feel like they should, but at the same time, it's a process to everything. So they're doing everything. The government is doing what they can. Like they're providing schooling and they're providing like funding, like a program for illegal and legal immigrants. But it's just that there's not enough schooling and money for all the illegal immigrants to be able to have education all at the same time.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely an immigration problem in the U.S. Well, there is a problem with immigration in the U.S. and we just don't have the resources for it. We don't have the personnel. We don't have the facilities. We don't have the government funding. The resources that are allotted by the government to the school districts aren't enough as it is already. Growing up in the public school system, she's growing up in the public school system, being in classes without books, being in overcrowded classrooms, buses breaking down, school lunches are terrible. It's too much to go around, and to bring on a whole added population with different needs, the language barrier, you just create a whole different kind of problem when it comes to giving them the best education that they are deserved.
Because, I mean, between now and 2024, it's going to be about 53 million students needing education. So that's 699 million per year. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of schooling. And it's like, you need space because all these kids are in the classroom, but when you have 30, 40 kids in the classroom, are they really getting the proper education that they need?
And there's a lot of people affected by the immigration problem in the public school systems. You have the native children who aren't getting the proper attention and care from the teachers because they have to divert their attention and care to the students who haven't been always exposed to education. You're talking about children who may or may not have ever been in a classroom setting before in their life. You have the public school system themselves. They're put kind of behind the eight ball when it comes to coming up with money to spread even thinner the already very, very depleted resources that they have. The tax-paying parents. There was a poll taken sometime last year that said 53% of the U.S. voters said that illegal immigrants should not be allowed to attend public schools. So you're saying almost over half of the U.S. population is saying that these students or these children should not be allowed into public schools. There was a case 40 years ago, Plyer versus Doe, where the government actually stepped in and passed a law ruling that undocumented children and young adults have the same right to attend a public university or public secondary or primary school just as much as the U.S. citizens do. And since then, there has been a big effort by both large and small communities to create a fair and balanced system that can serve the new immigrants as well as the native immigrants. So with that being said, what do you think is the best option for the public school system going forward?
I'm not really sure. Because right now for Alabama, it's $10,129 per student. Say in like Alaska, it's $23,351 per student. So it's like you could cut the costs, but then like what happens to the rest of the students when they don't have as good supplies or materials that they need because the cost is being cut low because it's too many students per classroom, too many kids need education.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I would personally.
I think it differs for every state because, as she brought up, different states have different problems when it comes to immigration. As you can assume, the states kind of up north and in the middle aren't going to be affected as much as, you know, Texas and California and Nevada. But there is 35% of the school population in Nevada comes from an immigrant household. It's 34% in New Jersey. It's 31% in Texas, and some places such as Minnesota and Kansas, some of the states that you think would necessarily be impacted by the immigrant population, 1 in 7 students are from an immigrant household. So, you know, if you take that to the classroom setting with ideally about 20 kids, 3 to 4 of them are going to be from an immigrant population, and that's in every classroom across those certain states. The effects of the immigrant population in the school system lead to school overcrowding, major teacher shortages, huge educational budget shortfalls, lack of resources and school equipment. I have a quote here from one of the Republican senators, and he says that dumping illegal immigrant children into our public schools with no recourse is a bad reaction to a bad problem. And I think that sums it up pretty much. I mean, the immigration problem is bad. I believe everybody has a chance to come and, you know, make whatever it is that they want out of life. But when it comes to resources and thinking ethically, I just don't think that there's any kind of solution where both can inhabit the same space, get the same amount of attention. Yeah.
But that's why they have, like, the process that they have for immigrants coming in, they grant a lot of people a green card. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're doing it, but it's like it's slowly. So it's like people are trying to run away from refugee and not having freedom in their other countries. So they're coming here. So it's like they need education, but
it's kind of hard to like turn
right,
away people.
You're gonna have to. That's why they have the system in place so that they can bring in and record how many people. They want to keep track of how many people are coming in, mm-hmm. so they can provide proper schooling and proper funding for kids having an education.
I think the system that's in place now, I went to Wise High School, and there were sections of Wise where it was strictly Hispanics, strictly foreign children that, you know, you walk down that hallway and you don't hear any English whatsoever. So I know that there are certain school districts that have departments in their organization that cater to that population. But when it comes to mixing these populations and trying to serve one as the other, I just don't think it's going to work. Immigration will account for 96% of the increase in school-age population over the next 50 years. So over the next 50 years, your increase in population will almost entirely come from immigrant children. And I think that is going to pose a problem that the current system won't be able to solve. The cost of education will go up per district, per state, nationwide, and the quality of education will go down. Anything else you got to say? You good? All right. You good? All right.